I am Leroy Truth for Leroy Truth Investigations, and this story about police misconduct, malfeasance, assault of a pregnant woman from a police officer in Fort Worth, Texas, will disgust you. This is an innocent woman, afraid she's going to lose her baby with this aggressive interaction with the cop. Vilmaris Montalvo was on a tight deadline on July 30th, 2021. A pregnant Hispanic dual-language teacher in Arlington. She took her lunch break to pick up her husband from a Fort Worth hospital following surgery. After noticing a Fort Worth patrol car following her for several miles, Montalvo pulled her car over. As soon as Montalvo stopped her car, a police officer aggressively pointed at her face and ordered, "Get out of the car, ma'am, you're under arrest, and don't make me pull you out." Montalvo began to cry. She stepped out of her car, explaining that she was pregnant and feared losing the baby. The officer responded, "Why do you think that because you're pregnant, you don't have to follow the rules?" Well, Montalvo didn't make it to the hospital. She was arrested, taken to jail, and eventually released with several tickets. Her extreme criminal offense? What was it? Not slowing to pass an emergency vehicle which was parked on the left-hand side of the road. But in reality, it was for bruising that piece of garbage police officer's ego. This cop should be in jail. He should have been arrested immediately like that. Assault, kidnapping, harassing, causing her to fear for her life and her baby. Watch the video here. You will be angry. And make sure to call the Fort Worth, Texas Police Department. Redress the public servants. We will together create police reform and make America free again.
July 30th, 2021, Officer James Reynolds of the Fort Worth Police Department became embroiled in a controversial interaction with Vilmaris Montalvo, a pregnant language teacher, which raised concerns about the balance between police authority and appropriate response. Officer Reynolds pulled over Montalvo for allegedly failing to yield to a stopped emergency vehicle and not promptly pulling over after he activated his cruiser's emergency lights. She was en route to pick up her husband from the hospital post-surgery in Fort Worth, Texas. The encounter, captured by Officer Reynolds' body camera, showcased a confrontational tone from the officer. He ordered Montalvo out of her car and informed her that she was under arrest, threatening to forcibly remove her if necessary. Montalvo pleaded to call her husband, who was in the hospital, but Officer Reynolds was unyielding. He declared her arrest to be on a cash bond, despite the nature of the offenses being minor traffic violations.
He could have not arrested her. Number one, he shouldn't have done anything. But at the most, it's say, hey, to let you know that there were patrol vehicles on the left-hand side. You got to make sure that you either slow down or swerve out of the way or go to another lane. But he didn't do that. And not only didn't he give her a citation and let her go so she could pick up her hospital, who just had surgery, for God's sakes, he arrested her with anger. Police reform, everybody. Police reform. We're going to do it. We have to demand our public officials hold them accountable and change police culture completely. Continuing.
Please let me call my husband.
Get in the car.
He's in the hospital waiting for me. Oh my gosh, please help me.
Sit down. Get in the car, ma'am.
I got 556 coming.
She's under arrest. Going to jail on a cash bond for failing to vacate the lane closest to an emergency vehicle.
In accordance with Texas law, the decision to impose cash bonds is within the officer's discretion when dealing with Class C misdemeanors. Officer Reynolds' actions, though legally permissible, were met with criticism due to their seemingly disproportionate nature. Montalvo's failure to yield and vacate lanes for an emergency vehicle, while violations are typically resolved with fines. Reynolds' decision to escalate the situation by arresting her outright, rather than issuing a citation, raised questions about his discretion and response.
Now here's the thing. It doesn't just raise questions. Any reasonable human being who had a soul, and obviously he's a police officer, so he doesn't have a soul. And remember, I don't mean every single police officer. There are about 0.1% of police officers who are really good people. The other 99.9, they're like him. And remember, what's the when people say, you know what, but no, most of them are good cops. They don't do these kind of things. When's the last time you saw a good cop stop a bad cop? Did any other police officer stop that officer from violating her constitutional rights and harassing and assaulting her and kidnapping her? This is, by the way, Officer James Reynolds, who has a history of at least 22 allegations. Many were unsubstantiated. Why is that? Internal investigation, ladies and gentlemen. Unsubstantiated doesn't mean it happened. It means, teacher, we graded our own homework and we found out we got an A+ every single time, or almost every time. This is disgusting. Over 24 complaints. And by the way, you know what Officer James Reynolds received for punishment? Punishment for what he did to Montalvo? 7 days leave. He should have been not just fired, but instantly arrested and sentenced to minimum 1 year in federal prison for violating this woman's rights. He had no right to arrest her, a.k.a. kidnap her, take her to jail, and put her through the stress that put her baby at risk of dying. All because she didn't yield to police, as they felt she should have when they were in the left-hand lane. Continuing.
The encounter's tone was marked by condescension, with Reynolds expressing disbelief at Montalvo's claim of not noticing him behind her.
Do you have where's your driver's license?
It's in my wallet.
Is this your purse?
No. Please, we'll explain to me what's going on.
Ma'am, I feel silly explaining to you what's going on. You're an adult, and you have a driver's license. So you know that when a police car gets behind you, turns on the lights and turns on the siren, and I stay behind, stop. You asked me to explain.
Shut up, you piece of garbage, Officer James Reynolds. Talking to her like she's a 6-year-old. Look at what you're doing. This is so out of alignment with what you're accusing her of. This is so out of context, so escalated. Shut up, officer, which you should be ex-officer James Reynolds, but because police culture is so freaking corrupt, he'll get a little slap on the wrist. 7 days suspension. Don't do that again. And he'll probably get a freaking promotion and a raise. And the union will probably get him those 7 days back if it wasn't with pay.
Doing that. When that happens, you are required to yield, to pull over and stop immediately, not 5 miles later. And there are consequences for our actions. When we do something good, we're rewarded. When we do something bad, there's a penalty. Your penalty today is,
Who is he? The freaking daddy? This is insane.
Siren. And I stay behind, stop. You asked me to explain, I'm doing that. When that happens, you are required to yield, to pull over and stop immediately, not 5 miles later. And there are consequences for our actions. When we do something good, we're rewarded. When we do something bad, there's a penalty.
This is mind-blowing. How he's talking with her. Like he is her God. And the God from high heaven above will express and throw his wrath onto this wonderful, wonderful woman, Montalvo. How dare him? How dare we have allowed police culture to become this? And yes, it's our fault. Police now basically are in charge. That's not technically how it is, but in reality it is, because there is almost no consequence for their actions. We, the people, will bring them to heel once and for all through legal means.
Your penalty today is, I'm going to put you in jail. And that's so that you don't think you can get away with this tomorrow. You're under arrest and you're going to jail.
The fallout from the incident included Montalvo filing complaints against Officer Reynolds with both the Fort Worth Police Department and the Office of Police Oversight Monitor. An internal affairs investigation ensued, revealing that Officer Reynolds had received multiple citizens' complaints previously, some unsubstantiated yet concerning in nature. Despite only 8 of the 29 complaints being substantiated, Officer Reynolds' behavior was criticized as very unprofessional.
Unprofessional? It is criminal. What he did to this woman is criminal under deprivation of rights under color of law, which there's laws on the books that have extreme penalties for someone who is acting like this. But almost never does a police officer get arrested and go to jail and be found guilty for deprivation of rights under color of law. And I'm in the process with Village of Cold Spring police officer Kenneth Baker and the injustice system in the Village of Cold Spring, New York, when Kenneth Baker egregiously, aggressively yelling at me when I was stopped on a street, way over and above anything that I was doing, and wrote me a citation for something I didn't do, and then is trying to dig his heels in and lie to make sure I'm guilty. Same thing as this. So wrong.
You can call your husband, you can scoot in, you're still going to jail, and you can tell him where your car is. Where's your husband?
A person with a soul doesn't act like this. A person with a soul who's an actual human would never victimize someone like this. Where's the victim in this entire interaction? Right there. Montalvo is being profoundly victimized by Officer James Reynolds, Fort Worth, Texas Police Department. He's a spux on freedom and the community. How dare they even allow him to still work there? Oh, you know why? Because shite flows downhill, and its leadership, the chiefs and everyone, they're the ones who encourage and allow this police culture. And the police chief needs to be held as accountable as this piece of garbage here.
Hospital.
Which one? Can he drive?
Medical City Forward.
Do you have family there that I can give this key
it's
to?
only him. He can drive. He just had surgery.
Okay. No, I don't have. It'll be good.
Do I know where I'm going?
You're going to Fort Worth jail.
Forward where?
Jail. And I'm not accusing you of running from me. You were not running from me. The reason I pulled you over in the first place, come on out, man, was because you didn't move out of the left lane. There were 3 police cars. Stop.
Help her out, you insane piece of garbage. She's pregnant. She's handcuffed behind her back. He's telling her, come out with no assistance. Is this crazy? She is highly likely to fall on her face on her pregnant child. This just keeps getting worse.
And the left shoulder.
I swear, did you realize I'm sorry? This is my first time.
It's unbelievable. I don't believe it. Oh, no, ma'am.
It's unbelievable. I'm your God. I will smite you. I have smited your freedom. You have not given me proper fealty, says Officer James Reynolds in his actions and his attitude.
Is he still going to have his surgery?
He had surgery.
He didn't even listen. She said she's picking him up from surgery.
Discharged.
Oh, okay.
They were waiting for me.
Okay.
And it was in my lunch time. I'm a teacher.
And what?
I was during my lunch time. I'm a teacher, and I was going to pick him up. So I go to.
You have a degree, a college degree.
Yes, sir.
Oh, here comes the God-splaining. I'm not even going to call this cop-splaining. This is God-splaining. He's God. He's her God. And she has displeased him because she didn't stop when he wanted her to. And now he's going to do God-splaining.
You have a driver's license because I've seen it. And you're telling me.
Ultimately, Reynolds' suspension for 7 days showcased that while his actions may have been within the bounds of the law, they were not in alignment with effective and appropriate police practice.
How could they be within the bounds of the law? He totally escalated this, arrested a woman. She did nothing criminal. There is no victim except her by the police.
The incident underscores the need for law enforcement officers to exercise discretion, especially when dealing with minor offenses, and to prioritize de-escalation over confrontation. The case serves as a reminder of the ongoing dialogue surrounding police behavior, citizens' rights, and the balance between upholding the law and fostering community trust.
Fostering community trust. What a joke. I was in Cold Spring, the village of Cold Spring, New York, the other day, where I went to Community Day to talk with people. Anyone who wanted to talk with me. I was set up in front of the village local newspaper called the Highlands Current. Extraordinary local paper. It's at a level that's up here. It's high professional level. Not like many local newspapers. God bless them. But this is a really high-level newspaper. They do great reporting locally. And I was right in front of this bastion of First Amendment, and so many people came up to me complaining about the vitriol and venom that Kenneth Baker, police officer, ex-NYPD police officer with a history of documented violence against the police of New York City. Well, he became, when he retired, hey, the village of Cold Spring, they saw his docket, or actually they saw his resume and all these over $300,000 in settlements for extreme police brutality that Kenneth Baker engaged in. And they said, hey, let's welcome him with open arms into our little village, our beautiful village, which they did. He's been a police officer there for 4 years now. And numerous people came up to me complaining of his threatening and aggressive way in which he would talk with them and yell at them and scream at them for simple traffic citations. Even some teenagers said, yeah, he didn't even investigate. He assumed we were under 13. We had no bicycle helmets on. And when you're over 13, you're not required to have them. But he just started yelling at us. Same thing to Officer James Reynolds in the Texas Fort Worth Police Department. Redress the government. I will leave the numbers of both the Fort Worth, Texas Police in the pinned comment and description, as well as the phone number of the mayor's office and police in the village of Cold Spring, New York. Please subscribe. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you. And my goal is to get to 100,000 subscribers by December 31st. Help us to do that, because the more people who subscribe, the more people who watch, the more people who share this, the more we get our word out and our mission, so we the people will create police accountability and police reform once and for all, so we can make America free again. Thank you.
In a world of shadows where the darkness abounds, there's a voice that emerges, breaking through the sound. Leroy Truth, he stands too tall with a camera in his hand, documented truth for justice to demand. Leroy the Truth, a beacon in the night, fighting for the justice, shining in the light through his lenses. His stories unfold, a YouTube channel with a mission too bold. With courage in his heart, he steps to the fray to protect our rights. He won't turn away when police cross the line. He's there to expose unlawful tactics. Leroy the Truth, a beacon in the night, fighting for the justice, shining in the light through his lenses. His stories unfold, a YouTube channel with a mission too bold. He's the voice of the silence, the defender of the weak. Leroy Truth, he won't back down, he won't retreat. His videos resonate across the nationwide, awakening the conscience, churning the tide, coast to coast. His impact takes hold, bravery confronting the stories untold. He stands for the people, the rights he defends. In the face of opposition, he won't never bend. Leroy the Truth, a beacon in the night, fighting for the justice, shining in the light through his lenses. His stories unfold, a YouTube channel with a mission too bold. Leroy Truth, the voice we all need, united in the nation and planted in the seed. With each video shared, he sparks in the flame, changing the course of history in the name of truth.